Right now, Dekalb County just made a big dent in a problem thousands of families face every day. And wait till you hear what else they're rolling out to help this holiday season. Also, 2 accounts, 3 tax breaks, 1 big headache. We'll help you decode the FSA versus HSA puzzle coming up. And before you panic and hit up Google or maybe ChatGPT asking how to thaw a turkey, there's an easier way. We're dialing up the hotline that's heard everything regarding your Thanksgiving dinner. This is The Take. Hello and welcome. Great to be with you today. I'm Dan Kennedy and for Chesley McNeil. This is The Take, where we go beyond the headlines and look at why and how stories are impacting your community. Experts will share what they know and we'll have a little fun too. You know, with the holidays just around the corner, 1 week out from Thanksgiving, Dekalb County leaders are taking some bold steps to ease economic pressures on families, from wiping out student meal debt to launching mobile markets and expanding housing support. With millions invested in food security and housing stability, the county is signaling a long-term commitment, they say, to helping residents thrive. Joining us now to walk us through all these initiatives is the leader herself, Dekalb County CEO Lorraine Cochran-Johnson. It's great to see you this morning to talk about all this. I got to ask, Lorraine, how soon are these families going to feel the impacts of some of these programs?
Well, let me say, Dan, families began to feel the impact of our programs last Saturday. At that time, we distributed at 6 different locations strategically across DeKalb a total of 5,000 food boxes. We have invested $400,000 in holiday food boxes as well as gift cards so that we can allow families to have a choice on the protein that they chose, because we understand that there's a lot of people at this moment that are suffering from food insecurity, and there's a lot of uncertainty currently.
Yeah, was this fueled by the government shutdown, or have you been thinking about doing something like this for longer than that?
Well, let me say that, DeKalb County has a history of providing food and stepping up. During the global pandemic, we invested over $60 million in food insecurity. So it's something that we want to do to fill the gap. But this year in particular, with a 43-day longest governmental shutdown in history, understanding the need in the community, it was extremely important to step up.
Ms. Cochran-Johnson, where is this funding coming from, and how long is it going to last?
And that's a great question, because gone are the days when we received federal funds through CARES and ARPA, American Rescue Plan. So I want to say to everyone that is watching, as the governing authority of DeKalb County, this money has literally come from our general fund. Okay. We are now feeding DeKalb County residents using taxpayer dollars. And of course, that is very sensitive to us because we must watch the investments that we make. So we're happy to know that, of course, the governmental shutdown is over, but it will still take time for people to receive SNAP benefits. And also there's a lot of job insecurity out there at this moment as well, particularly on the federal level. So I want to say to everyone that's watching, the face of food insecurity and also housing insecurity is shifting across America. You're seeing individuals who've been able to provide for themselves who are now facing difficulties.
And at one point being able to provide for their families as well. I know you're helping out some students in the county with this student meal debt and paying that off. Tell me a little bit more about that and how that works exactly.
Well, as we sat down, we felt it was important to take a conglomerate approach. And we immediately went to school meals because, children cannot concentrate if they're hungry. And what we found was there was 1,818 delinquent school meal accounts, and we decided to pay those in full. For us, that was important because we don't want parents concerned about whether or not their children will receive a warm meal. And in many instances, it's a sad reality. The only warm meal some children receive is on a daily basis at school. So we made that $16,500 investment, and honestly, we feel that it was money well spent.
Do you worry that maybe you're setting a standard by pulling this from the general fund this year? I mean, is this going to be a one-time thing, or is this going to be a discussion year in and year out? Or is it a case-by-case basis? Tell me what you're thinking for next year.
Well, let me say, we play the hand that we're dealt. And oftentimes what happens on the federal and state level affects us on the local. And as the governing authority, of course, we have, an entire team that watches our budget carefully. So I'm thankful that we are in a position at this time to make these investments. And as time goes on, we'll just have to evaluate based upon what is available. But we're doing more than just, of course, pulling from our general fund. We have shored up through the Midwest Food Bank a food distribution that will take place this weekend. And for us, this is, it's a total of 800 boxes. And because we were able to receive through a variety of partners, including community members, we have a very large, DeKalb County has the most diverse square mile in America in Clarkston, Georgia. And because of that, we have a huge immigrant and refugee community. And many of them have stepped up because they import and export product year long to support community. So many of the initiatives moving forward are not out of pocket. It simply required coordination.
I want to ask for folks who are watching wondering, do I qualify? Can I possibly get help from the county right now? How can they find out? And especially I'm curious about the housing support and the home ARP funds. How can they find out if they qualify?
All you have to do is reach out to us here in DeKalb County, and we will immediately put you through the vetting process. Now, with our home ARP funds, we want to say that at this time, although many people may be facing employment challenges and a reduction in income or gaps that's associated with the government shutdown, we want to help you be responsible and continue paying your rent. So if you reach out to us and you are experiencing difficulty, there is a vetting process. Currently, we still have a little over $5 million that's available to DeKalb County residents who are experiencing need. And all you have to do is call our office, just go to our 311 in DeKalb County, and they will immediately route you for vetting so that we can fill those gaps. We want to make sure we're taking care of our residents.
Lorraine Cochran-Johnson, the CEO of DeKalb County. You know I have a list about this long of things I'd love to talk to you about, but we'll have you back on maybe in December talking about almost a year in office. Would that sound good?
That sounds good. I look forward to it, and to you and everyone, happy holidays. And it feels good to do good. There's a lot of people out there who are in need, and we must be mindful.
And thanks for talking to us today about the good in DeKalb County. We'll see you soon. You're watching The Take. We'll be right back. After months of resistance, President Trump has signed the Epstein Transparency Act into law, forcing the Justice Department to release unclassified documents related to the late notorious sex offender. Joining us now from Washington is NBC's Alice Barr. Alice, good morning to you. This act now been signed into law. What are some of the next steps in this process, and when can we all start learning what's actually in these files?
Good morning. Yeah, that has been the million-dollar question for so long. What is actually going to be released? So the Justice Department now has 30 days to comply with this new act and make the files public. Some question about exactly how much is going to come out, because while there's a clause here that says that nothing can be withheld by the Justice Department due to embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, there are going to be redactions for some other key reasons, chiefly protecting the identities of victims here. But when the information does ultimately come out, the bill requires the Department of Justice to share records like flight logs and sealed settlements. We're expecting more emails and text messages, financial records, evidence from seized hard drives, and information from interviews with key players. This is supposed to be the whole shebang, everything that so many people across both political parties and chiefly the survivors who have kept this story at the forefront have been pushing for all this time. And now there's just the question of how much might be stripped out before the full thing comes forward.
Clearly very sensitive stuff we're talking about here. And we can understand the redactions, I imagine. But what is the Justice Department going to say for their reasoning as to why specifically they're going to be withholding some of this information? Do we know?
Right. So specifically, as you noted, as far as protecting the identities of victims, that seems pretty straightforward. There's also a clause in here about making sure that any child pornography materials are not released. And the Justice Department had said when it made its original release over the summer and said it was not putting anything else out, that much of what was withheld was things that fell under those categories. But there's another clause here that's getting a lot of attention and raising a lot of eyebrows, because there's also a clause in here that the Justice Department can withhold any material that could jeopardize any other active federal investigations. And we know that President Trump just directed the Justice Department to open probes into some high-profile Democrats who have been mentioned in emails that were released in recent disclosures through the House Oversight Committee. So there are a lot of folks, not just Democrats, but Republicans as well, who've, the ones who've been leading the charge on this, who are questioning whether those new investigations will get in the way of a wider release of documents, because the DOJ will say, well, we can't put this chunk of information out because it relates to X, Y, and Z investigations. So that's where things are maybe a little bit stickier, and folks are raising some questions about what could potentially be held back.
Right. So reading the tea leaves here, are we perhaps hearing from the Attorney General that there might be other charges possible against people connected to Epstein's crimes?
Yeah, this part is interesting because over the summer, when they said we're not releasing anything more, they said that they had not found any evidence that warranted charges against anyone else, that federal prosecutors had not. The Attorney General now says that new information has come forward. She didn't specify what that is, but it could include material from Epstein's estate that has been subpoenaed through a House oversight investigation that I mentioned, and that Republicans have long pointed to as their preferred means of transparency. In fact, they're saying that there's more information coming out through the subpoenas from the Epstein estate than we may actually see in these files in terms of new information that everyone has been, clamoring for so long. Dan?
Yeah, plenty more to come in this story, Alice. We know never a dull day there in the nation's capital. We thank you for your time again this morning. We have plenty more for you coming up. This is The Take. Well, Smyrna is unveiling its most detailed look yet at the future of downtown, a sweeping redevelopment plan centered around new green spaces, mixed-use streets, and all built around one historic chapel. Let's break down what this vision means for the community with Andrea Worthy, Economic Development Director for the City of Smyrna. Welcome back to the show, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Why is this needed for downtown?
Well, you've seen a lot of investment all over the country, frankly, but here in the Metro Atlanta area specifically, with communities investing in their downtown. Smyrna was one of the first downtowns to redevelop years ago in the 1990s, and now we are reinvesting, being more intentional with our investment in Smyrna's identity for downtown. And frankly, the other piece of it is the opportunity is in front of us. The First Baptist Church was looking to sell their property. And that is when we sat down and started talking with them about what the future of that site could be.
So you're striking while the iron's hot. That chapel, I understand,
That's
is
right.
at the heart of this vision. Why is it important to preserve and expand its role?
Oh my goodness! Frankly, because it's been a part of Smyrna's heart for more than 100 years, and it's a beautiful building. We believe that it can be preserved for future performance space and public space, maybe perhaps even rental space for weddings and that type of thing. So it's a beautiful chapel on a key corner in downtown, and we definitely want to keep that and expand the green space around it.
What kind of opportunities will this open up for new housing and new businesses?
A lot. I tell you, the one thing I hear in my job all the time from our Smyrna residents is we'd like to see a lot more retail and restaurants in downtown. So this is a great opportunity to add to that. It's about the size, basically double the size of our existing downtown. So very exciting. But to support retail and restaurants, you need some other uses as well. Need some housing to be supportive of that. So we've been looking at a mixture of both rental and for sale housing, which is what our residents have said they want to see.
You're just a few miles away from Truist Park. Are you going to be able to maybe open up some more hotels too to accommodate visiting fans?
We certainly hope so. Our consultant, MKSK, has told us there could be demand for a small boutique size hotel in downtown with this type of mixed use development. So that would be very exciting to add an opportunity for folks to visit downtown Smyrna and stay overnight and support our restaurants and our residents.
Hey, look, Andrea, I'm looking at the website right now, downtown Smyrna, redevelopment.com. You can go there and read some more into it yourself. Tell me about the phases and the schedule. If all goes to plan, when could we start to see some of this development taking shape?
Sure. So first of all, we've spent the better part of a year talking to the community about what they would like to see. Because frankly, the best way to attract developers to a project like this is to have the community on board ahead of time. So that's what we're just sort of getting to the final phase of that process. And hopefully at the first part of 2026, we'll be taking a finished concept plan to council for them to vote on. Then we will be going out to the development community with some type of request for proposals, a request for qualifications for developers to actually bid and tell us exactly what they would build. Of course, based on what the concept plan is, because we want to build something that our community has already bought into. So probably, I would say mid-2026, we'll be going out for that plan. That process will take a little while, but ultimately we'd like to end up, maybe by the end of 2026, early 2027, with a deal penciled in with a developer, a partner who can help us make this reality.
What is your benchmark for success here? I mean, what does a successful downtown Smyrna look like 5 years from now to you?
Well, not just to me, but to our community. So again, part of this public engagement process, we talked to them about what their priorities would be, and they've told us green space, outdoor dining and sidewalks, and making it a walkable downtown. So any developer that puts those things first and foremost, I think will be the one that is most successful in this process.
I tell you, as the father of two young boys, when I hear green space, walkable, and restaurants, I am there. I think you've got the attention of all the young families. And we look forward to checking out the new Smyrna, maybe in a few years. Andrea Worthy, please come back and keep us apprised of things. And again, the website, downtown Smyrna, redevelopment.com, if you want to see for yourself. Happy holidays to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you so much.
We have plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. Well, this week's Cloudflare outage was a stark reminder of how much the internet depends on a few key players and how quickly things can go wrong. With major platforms like X, Spotify, and AWS slowed by a single bug, the question now, what's next? How will companies strengthen their systems? And what does it mean for the future of internet reliability? Joining us now is Andy Green, cybersecurity researcher at Kennesaw State University. Andy, good to see you this morning. I first noticed it a couple days ago when I was on ChatGPT and it went black, and I had to resort to good old-fashioned Google. We're reminded in times like these just how much we rely on half the internet for things. What went wrong this week? How can you describe it in the simplest way possible?
So for starters, it's important to understand what Cloudflare provides as a service. They are a content delivery network, or CDN. And they stand in front of these products to make sure that they have good uptime. In theory, that's what Cloudflare is supposed to do. And so when Cloudflare has, in this specific instance, they had an internal bug because making sure that you have uptime all the time on behalf of these products is a very complex offering. And so they run a lot of software in the back end that we don't have to worry about as consumers. But in this case, it was what they referred to as a bot management application that helps them manage the entire operation on the inside. And it basically went down. There was a database issue. And so when that went down, you and I couldn't reach ChatGPT, X, formerly Twitter, take your pick. A lot of services were impacted. And as a result, what organizations pay for, which is increased and ensured uptime, was taken off the table because Cloudflare had an internal software issue. And it's, from a business perspective, that's frustrating. If I pay for this service to Cloudflare, I'm doing so because I think Cloudflare can do this job and do it well. And as a business, I'm protected from downtime like what we saw yesterday. And so from a business operations perspective, it's frustrating. From a consumer perspective, it's frustrating. I can't get to the things that I want to get to. And so it's a lose-lose for everybody.
To be a fly on the wall in the boardroom of Cloudflare this week. I mean, what are they doing behind the scenes to perhaps prevent something like this in the future, especially when just routine updates are involved?
Well, this is not the first time that Cloudflare has been hit by this. And when I say this, I mean issues in general. This is Cloudflare's worst incident since 2019. And one of the things that Cloudflare does is they publish a pretty thorough, what we call a post-mortem. They take the incident apart. They're very transparent about what happened, how it happened, and they wanted to be clear up front. Their very first sentence in their post-mortem was, this was an internal issue. This was not a cyber attack or anything like that. And they apply lessons learned, which is what you would hope any organization would do after an incident like this. And so, very technical write-up, which I won't bore you or the viewers with, because it's a lot of technical gobbledygook. But basically, they apply lessons learned, and you hope that they won't have the same type of incident next time. But these things have happened before, and unfortunately, they will happen again. From a business perspective, I start to question, where have I put my eggs in which basket? And when I pay for a service like Cloudflare, am I really getting protection that I want? And so now I have to look at, I had looked at Cloudflare as risk mitigation. I want to make sure my services are up. Now how do I risk mitigate from Cloudflare potentially?
Well, Andy, do you think I was going to say, do you think this signals a need for new industry standards or any kind of regulatory oversight? How much oversight do they have right now when it comes to these critical internet infrastructure providers?
Very little to none. And software is software. When humans write software, software is going to break. And so when you start to look at the number of players who are in the space, that's the troubling issue. First of all, this is a complex environment. Writing and creating a CDN that works globally is no trivial feat. And the number of organizations that can offer that as a service are few and far between.
All right, we'll be watching. Andy Green, I'm sure we'll be talking again at some point. Cybersecurity expert at Kennesaw State. Thanks for helping us make sense of it all.
Thank you.
All right, you're watching The Take. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Open enrollment is here, and it could save you money at the doctor. When you pick your health plan for next year, you may also get a chance to put money into a flexible spending account or a health savings account. Money taken out of your paycheck before taxes to cover medical costs. But most people aren't using them. Joining us now to explain the difference between these two and the low use is financial expert Andrew Poulos. Great to see you again, Andrew. Got to ask you, we'll just start simple. And what's the difference between an FSA and an HSA?
One of the main things that people need to be aware of is the FSA is a plan where you can put in money pre-tax, but it's a use it or lose it type of account, right? So at the end of the year, if you haven't used everything you got in there, it's likely that you will lose the money that you have in there, versus an HSA that you can roll over year after year, build up what we call a triple advantage, tax advantage. So the money goes in tax-free. The growth is tax-free, and when you pull it out for qualified medical needs, it's also tax-free. So an HSA, in my opinion, is a very powerful tool for healthcare planning.
Look, I will talk about it to anybody who will listen. That triple tax advantage is so important because you can actually invest these funds and essentially treat it as a retirement account, but you also get the peace of mind that you know that money's there if you need it for a medical emergency. I mean, what am I missing? Why would you not invest in one?
Yeah, it's a great tool to let it build up, right? So, if, for example, if you are healthy, you don't really have many healthcare needs. A lot of people say, well, I just don't really need it. I'm healthy. I don't really even need health insurance, for example. You hear that quite often, especially with the rising cost of health insurance now. But the reality is it's that triple advantage plan, triple tax. So you can let it build up for many years, and before you know it, you could have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 saved up. So as you get older and health issues do arise for all of us, generally speaking, then you can use it down the road. It's not a use it or lose it type of plan like an FSA. So it's just very powerful. And I think it's often misunderstood, and people just aren't aware of the actual benefits of an HSA.
So to the Gen Zs and millennials watching, what would you tell them, HSA or FSA? And would you prioritize it over, say, maxing your 401k?
Listen, those are all personal options that someone has to consider, right? When we're talking about HSAs versus 401ks, FSAs, we've got to look at everyone has individual needs, meaning are you healthy? Do you have health issues? Is a high deductible plan right for you? Because to qualify for an HSA, your health insurance plan has to qualify as a high deductible, high cost plan. So that's another consideration. So millennials, Gen Z, typically what we hear is, hey, I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't need it. Or the other side of it right now is with inflation, hey, I'm struggling, I can't even get out of my parents' house to go rent on my own and live on my own and pay the student loans that I've come out of debt, in debt with out of school. So those are the challenges. But any young adult who effectively has disposable money and has health insurance and qualifies for an HSA, I think it would be just wise for them to consider it, because again, it lets them build it up, and it's just tax-free money that's earning over the years.
Andrew, do we know what the contribution limits are going to be for FSAs and HSAs next year?
Yeah, I believe FSAs are going to be 3,400, HSAs on the individuals 44 or 8750 roughly, slated for 2026. The carryover in an FSA looks to be $680. Not a lot, right? So again, you got to be careful with an FSA not to contribute more than you need, because at the end of the year, it's a use it or lose it type of plan. If your employer, the IRS says you can carry it over up to 680, but if your employer doesn't have that in the plan, then you lose the money, versus an HSA where again, you can roll it over. You don't use it, you don't lose it. It still builds over time when it's invested.
Hey, real quick, I got 30 seconds. If you can't afford to max the HSA, is there still a way you can take advantage of that account?
Absolutely. Look, no one said that you have to have an HSA and max it out. We're not talking about maxing out here. Not everyone can afford to max it out. What we're saying is, if you have a high deductible plan that does qualify for an HSA, open up that HSA, start funding it. Similar to a 401k, right? No one's telling anyone to go out and max out a 401k when you have other pressing needs and you got to pay the bills. But start with 1,000, start with 1,500, whatever you can afford. Put that in there, let it grow, and continue to invest in it each year.
I think your future self will thank you. Andrew Poulos, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, we're taking a live look over Midtown right now. Look, Bobby Dodd Stadium there. They're getting set for a big matchup this weekend, a top 25 showdown with Pitt. It's a foggy start to the day, low-lying clouds here in Atlanta, but it's going to be a warm one a little later today. You can catch our full forecast over on 11alive.com. You know, Thanksgiving dinner is going to cost more this year, with grocery prices up nearly 3%. Farmers also feeling the squeeze too, facing rising costs and unpredictable weather. And that's why they're turning to innovation. Joining us now with more is Jess Christensen, head of Bayer's Crop Science Communications. Great having you this morning. What's driving this increase in grocery prices this year?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So prices have been increasing. They're up nearly 30% over the last 5 years. There's a lot of variables that go into food prices, but really what I think most people need to understand is when you're at the grocery store picking out your Thanksgiving meal ingredients, those start all the way back up at the farmer in a field. So if farmers can't produce more with less and make a profit on that, we are going to have continuing increase in prices at the end of the chain in the store, right? So we need science and innovation to help them combat a lot of different challenges they face. If they can produce more, and that makes it more affordable for us when we're buying it at the store.
You know, agriculture's so big here in Georgia. What are some of the challenges that our neighboring farmers are facing? And you mentioned science and innovation. What can that do specifically to help out?
Yeah, and we thank the Georgia farmers. You guys do have a lot of farmers there. So, and you grow a lot of different crops. So, you know, when you think about science and innovation in the seed, so we need seed that can actually be resilient in the Georgia climate, right? So you guys have a lot of storms. Sometimes it's too hot, too wet. Sometimes it's too cold in the early season even. So you need crops that can withstand and thrive in that environment. We need crop protection products. So crop protection is like weed killers, pesticides, insecticides, that sort of thing. If we don't have crop protection products, you got a lot of bugs in Georgia, right? So farmers need a lot of products to help combat that. There's an estimate that if we didn't have crop protection products, our cost as an American family would be up $10 billion a year. So that's how much crop protection helps preserve the farmer's yield. So, crop protection is one thing. And then digital technology. We talk a lot about digital in lots of different ways, right? With AI and other things coming. Farmers are super tech savvy business people. So we have a lot of digital farming tools, a lot of things that are making them really, really look at their data, their specific data, and get the most out of every single acre.
Is that the best way for them to tap into AI right now, is just monitoring data, you think?
There's lots of different things with AI, right? I mean, we as a company, as Bayer Crop Science, are using it for efficiency gains too, but they can look at it through their modeling. So there's a lot of predictive modeling that's starting to come out. We have our Climate Field View, which is a digital platform for farmers, but AI tools are becoming super sophisticated. So it could help them maybe predict a little bit more about where those bugs are going to be, what the weather patterns might be, how much of which exact seed to plant in their parts of their field, right? So there's a lot of different ways AI can help farmers.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, since February 2020, grocery prices have jumped up 29%. I mean, just people are feeling it when they're out there shopping. What do you want them to know about what farmers are doing to try to stabilize those prices?
Yeah, and people are feeling it is right. There are 47 million food insecure people in the U.S. 47 million across every county of this country. So we need to help farmers help our friends and neighbors. We need innovation. We need science-backed innovation. We need to all champion science, and we will not have these breakthrough discoveries that help our farmers produce more. And farmers won't be profitable either, by the way. So it has a big economic impact in states like Georgia and our country, quite frankly. So, one thing that everybody can do, go to sciencedelivers.com. It's a very simple website. You can check out more about science and innovation and how it's helping us, including food production. But yeah, thank your farmers this Thanksgiving and the scientists behind them, quite frankly.
Jess Christensen, thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you for talking specifically about Georgia farmers. We certainly do love and appreciate all the work they do for us. Great having you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We have plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. Welcome back. The latest jobs numbers have dropped, and going in economists were saying the signal would be louder than the noise. CNN's Maribel Aver joins us now from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square in New York City. Maribel, good morning. Just how loud are these numbers?
Good morning, Dan. Well, labor officials say 119,000 jobs were added, well over the 50,000 economists predicted. It's also a reversal of the 4,000 jobs lost in August. The unemployment rate edged closer to 4.4%, the highest it's been since October of 2021. Average hourly earnings rose slightly, up 0.2% for the month and 3.8% year over year. This report is some of the only economic data available to the Fed ahead of its December meeting and next interest rate decision. Dan, we'll see how the Fed digests all of that.
It's going to be fascinating to watch that debate after the numbers today and what that does for that cut. We know you'll be watching. I also got to ask you about Major League Baseball taking some big bets on streaming and broadcast rights, and it includes us here at 11Alive. Selfishly, we are excited here with the Big Peacock.
Let's talk about it. Major League Baseball announcing a new 3-year agreement with NBC, Netflix, and ESPN. ESPN will get rights to MLB TV and a midweek game package. NBC Sports will now be the new host of Sunday night games after ESPN opted out of that deal earlier this year. Now, Netflix will have the next 3 home run derbies. All the deals begin with the 2026 season. Dan, I know Braves country is always plugged in, so Atlanta fans will see how this shapes up with coverage next season for sure.
Yeah, we're hoping for some Sunday night games to make it to the postseason, no doubt. In the meantime, we got Christmas coming up. Thanksgiving, can you believe, a week away? Amazon extending its return window now for the season, and it's good news for gift givers.
It is, but Dan, we have 5 Thursdays to Christmas, just so you know. Amazon is offering holiday shoppers an extended window for returns this season. Most items purchased between November 1st and December 31st can be returned through next January. So refunds are given as long as the items are in original or unused condition. The company says some exclusions may apply, like Apple products. Other major retailers like Target, Walmart, and Best Buy are also offering extensions on returns for items bought during the holiday season, but customers are urged to check product details before ordering. Dan, I guarantee you will not want to return my special annual Christmas cookies coming your way, friend.
All right, bring it on. What kind are they?
Chocolate chip. That's it.
It's the best. The original. You don't need to get fancy. I love it. But one thing you are going to be returning, apparently, a certain AI bear. It's saying inappropriate things. Tell me about this.
Dan, an AI-enabled teddy bear is being pulled from the market for giving sexually explicit advice to children. The U.S. Public Interest Research Group found that Follow Toys Kuma Bear discussed topics like fetishes, lighting matches, and where to find knives. The teddy is programmed with OpenAI's ChatGPT-4 chatbot. It was sold on Follow Toys' website for $99. The company says it's now conducting an internal safety audit. But Dan, I mean, we talked about Roblox putting, more safeguards for kids, only letting kids chat with other kids in their own age group. This AI teddy, it's just another reminder of why those protections matter. You have littles, Dan.
Yes. I got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I can tell you what they won't be getting for Christmas now. Wow.
Oh, no.
But I tell you, we do have Amazon Alexa, and our 3-year-old was talking to it the other day and ordered $10 worth of Amazon Music subscriptions. So had to cancel that.
Well, I like their style.
Exactly. Maribel, great talking to you as always. Thank you. Looking forward to the chocolate chip cookies. And we have plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. Well, Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and for many of us, that means one big question. How do you make sure your turkey turns out perfectly? Well, help just a phone call away. Joining us now is Gwen Carlisle, Butterball Turkey Hotline Supervisor. Gwen, great to see you. You got a big week coming up, and I got to say this hotline has been saving dinners for decades. What's the number one mistake people make when preparing their Thanksgiving turkey?
Well, good morning, and thank you for having us. This is the 44th season of the Butterball Turkey Hotline, and there are over 50 men and women, professional people, answering your calls. And the number one question we get every year is how to thaw your turkey. It is the top question. Every year people want to know how long does it take, and we actually have 2 methods that we recommend. There is the refrigerator method that typically thaws about 4 pounds every day. Just keep it in the packaging on a platter with some paper towels in the refrigerator, and that'll thaw 4 pounds each day. So if you have a 20-pound turkey, we're talking about 5 days. So I think people underestimate that time frame. So it's really important to think about that in your planning. And then we have a cold water method that will thaw your turkey quickly, about 1 pound every half hour, and you just rotate the turkey and refresh the water. And that's a quick thaw method if you run out of time closer to the holiday.
What if we run out of time, like literally on the holiday? What should people do if their turkey's still frozen Thanksgiving morning?
You know what? A great solve is we have a new cook from frozen turkey that's available in the Atlanta area, and you can literally take it out of the package, put it in the pan, and put it in the oven, and there is no thawing required. So that is a fantastic solve for your area. So I would check that out in the grocery stores if you don't want to go through that thawing cycle that a lot of people don't like to go through. So it's a great option.
That's great to know. As you plan for next week, you're thinking about how many people you're going to have around the table. How do you know how big of a turkey to buy for your family? Is there math involved here?
Yeah, that's a great question. Typically, we recommend about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds per person, and that's a nice serving plus leftovers. And you can actually go to the Butterball website. We have a calculator there, and it will calculate how many children, how many adults, are you big eaters, do you want leftovers? You can put all that information into the website, and it will give you a poundage recommendation to purchase. But typically, like I said, it's about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds per person.
Well, at some point, everybody's got to make their first turkey. What's the best cooking method for beginners? Roasting, bag cooking, air frying? What do you think?
Yeah, there are a lot of options out there. At Butterball, we have an open pan method that we recommend. It's very simple. It's for cooks that are just starting out or people that have done turkeys for years. You traditionally roast it in just a 2.5 to 3 inch sided pan on a rack. Thaw your turkey, obviously. Take out the neck and the giblets, which is really important because everybody's got to take that out before they cook it. And then you can just simply pat it dry, brush it with some vegetable oil, and then season it as you'd like and pop it in at 325 degrees. And we actually, on our website and on the packaging, there is a recommendation for the cooking time based on the size of the turkey. And then we really recommend a meat thermometer this time of year if you can grab one. The turkey is done when it registers 170 in the breast and thigh and 165 in the center of that stuffing if you choose to stuff it. So this is like your best friend on Thanksgiving. 170.
Okay, good to know. All right, you gave us a lot of do's there. What should home cooks never do with the turkey?
Yeah. Do not thaw it on the counter. Do not thaw it outside of the refrigerator or in cold water. You definitely want to make sure that you're either doing the cold water method or the refrigerator method. people have called us and they've left it in the back seat of their car, in their trunk, on the countertop overnight, and that's an absolute do not. It's just not safe for your family to eat. So definitely thaw it in the proper way.
Gwen, I got to ask you personally, what makes you coming back year after year to do this, giving up your holiday to help other folks out?
Yeah, this is my 13th year at the Talk Line. I've been doing it since my kids were very little. It's a wonderful atmosphere. It's super fun to actually help people. We do all work the week of Thanksgiving and on Thanksgiving Day. And I have a food science background, so this is right up my alley here. I love working with food. I've always loved doing that. But it's just great to be able to help people. People call us like panicked a lot of times on Thanksgiving or the days leading up as to how they're going to get everything organized and ready and cooked properly. And we're the people that are here to help. And in a day and age where there's not a lot of people, where you're getting AI and chatbots and all these things, we actually have 50 people waiting to take your call. So it's an honor.
I love it. And honestly, I mean, we laugh, but it's important, and it's a stressful day for folks, and you are helping save Thanksgiving dinners across America. 13 years of doing this. I mean, is there one crisis that stands out when you think over those dozen plus years?
We get a lot of very, very funny phone calls and just people that just make mistake after mistake, and they're hoping that we can help them out. And I think my funniest call is I had a family call me, and they had cooked their turkey with the sink stopper. They had thawed it in the sink, and the sink stopper got stuck under the wing of the turkey. They roasted it with the sink stopper, and they found it when they carved it. And they all called me, and they were such good sports about it. But I told them I didn't know anything about that material, so I didn't recommend that portion of the turkey, but they did their best to get through. So it was a funny one.
But the other 90% of the turkey was good to go, right?
I think so. I think they ate it.
Okay. Gwen, great talking to you. Best of luck next week. And again, thanks for all you do for us novices.
Thank you. And call 1-800-Butterball. We'll be here. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. The 11Alive Holiday Can-a-thon is coming up on Friday, December 5th, and we need your help to make sure the impact from this one day lasts all year. Your donations help keep 13 Salvation Army food pantries stocked across Metro Atlanta. From single parents to seniors, your generosity means no one has to wonder where their next meal is coming from. We'll be spread out across the Metro with drop-off sites in Atlanta, Marietta, Lawrenceville, Decatur, and Fayetteville, so it's easy to find a location near you. For more details on how you can help and the items we need most this year, just go to 11alive.com/canathon. You can also make an online donation if you're not able to come out there on Friday, December 5th, but we do hope to see you. Before we go, my final take. You know, we had a little bit of everything for you on today's show. We talked money stuff, internet outages, even Thanksgiving panic. But what struck me wasn't the problems, it was the people trying to help. Like Dekalb County rolling out support so folks can catch a break. Our cybersecurity guy calming our nerves for when the internet breaks. The financial expert giving us some money hacks. And of course, the Butterball Hotline, which I haven't needed yet, but it's comforting to know it's out there. So here we are, 1 week out from Thanksgiving, and this morning was a nice reminder that we're really not doing this alone. We don't have to nail everything or have the perfect plan. There are people out there still ready and willing to help get us through whatever we're dealing with, even if it is just a problem with the Thanksgiving turkey. Great to be with you here on The Take on this Thursday morning. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. And we'll see you back here a little later on 11Alive. Make it a great one.